ask you a question. Are you sick and tired of this?
Yeah!
Are you sick and tired of this, really?
Fuck yeah!
Sick and tired.
Have you had enough?
Yeah!
When we, in this country, witnessed the murder of George Floyd on the streets of Minneapolis, when we see the murder of Ahmaud Arbery on the road in Georgia, when we see the murder of Breonna Taylor in her bed in Louisville, when we see an American president threaten to unleash vicious dogs on peaceful protesters, when we see unidentified troops in combat gear on horseback use flashbangs, use pepper balls on peaceful American citizens in the shadow of the White House, the People's House, when we see Black Hawk helicopters hovering over citizens in the streets of our capital, the time has come to say enough is enough. Enough is enough. The time to say we are better than this.
Amen.
We are better than this. But we've been here before.
Amen.
I've been here before.
None of that, no.
I turned 18 in 1968. Over 50 years later, 1968 is here again. I never thought I'd see it. We've been here before on this very site, standing by our flag and beside the Bill of Rights. Some years ago, we were here on the anniversary of the shooting of students at Kent State University by National Guard troops. In 1992, we were here again on the Quiet Day riots after the beating of Rodney King in the streets of Los Angeles. In 2002, we were here again, 500 of us marching from the courthouse to the flagpole to oppose going to war in Iraq. And now tonight, we're here again. We keep coming here because this is the place that brings us home. Home to what is the essence of our democracy. Home to the promises of equal justice under the law, and home for the right to speak freely and to protest peacefully against government for a redress of our grievances.
Amen.
Woo! So this is a place we always come to. You know, there comes a time when enough's enough. It's time to ask and take a serious look and ask the question, what kind of people are we now today, and what kind of a country are we? We're a precipice. I'm a Vietnam era veteran. And I was a security policeman. I did riot control training. I had an M16 and a bayonet. But when I joined the Air Force in 1968, I took an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States and to defend it against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And it saddens me tonight that the threat to our Constitution emanates not from outside our borders, but from within, from the corridors of the White House and from the halls of the Department of Justice. That's the threat to our Constitution now.
Amen.
So there comes a time when the protests against excessive force is met with excessive force.
Yeah.
And it's time to say no more. There comes a time to declare and listen carefully. When injustice becomes law, resistance becomes duty. You know what we're seeing now on the streets of America and in the corridors of power is the unraveling of our democracy. It's happening before our eyes. And so the time has come where silence is unacceptable. And there comes a time when inaction is compliance. Somebody had a sign, if you ain't for us, you're against us. And the time has come, as civil rights hero John Lewis tells us, to cause good trouble. Good trouble. And good trouble is living up to our nation's ideals
Amen.
Good trouble is being true to the dream and the promise of the country that we love. That's good trouble. And so, if that doesn't work, maybe we should heed the words of Albert Einstein. And he said this: the world is a dangerous place to live, not because of the people who are evil, but because of the people who don't do anything about it. The time has come to do something about it. You know, one of my favorite songs by Sam Cooke, and some of you know who he is that change is going to come. Change is going to come. But let me tell you here tonight, change doesn't come from the top down. It percolates from the bottom up. Right here and right now. And let me tell you here tonight that change comes when ordinary people do extraordinary things. And so if you believe in something, act upon it. Do it with determination. Do it with moral courage. Do it nonviolently and peacefully, but do it. Bobby Kennedy told us in 1968, and it rings true today. And he said this: what we need in our country is not violence or lawlessness, but love and wisdom and compassion toward one another. And a feeling of justice toward those who still suffer within our country, whether they be white or they be black. Those words ring true today. And Dr. King often spoke about the moral arc of the universe. He said the moral arc of the universe is long, but it bends toward justice. It's time to bend that arc a little harder toward justice. For Ahmaud Arbery, for Breonna Taylor, for George Floyd. And it's time to say that racism and brutality is unacceptable. We're better than that. So my brothers and sisters, they talk out there about healing. Well, let me tell you something. We can't start the healing until we stop the bleeding. But at the same time, let us heed the words of Dr. King. And that is, returning violence for violence multiplies violence, adding deeper darkness to a night already devoid of stars. It's not the way to go. So in this time of darkness, let us promise to let our love light shine brightly. Let your love light shine. And let's love bomb this town. And let's also always believe in the incredible transformational power of love. So let us be determined, let us be courageous, and let us take to heart the concept that we are each other's brothers and sisters. We are our keepers. We have the obligation and responsibility toward each other and to the larger community. Gandhi told us, be the change you seek. This is the change you seek right here, right now, tonight. Do it. And I'll finish. I didn't go to the same church as Erica. I'll finish. You know, I grew up where 1968 was the year that Bobby Kennedy and Martin Luther King were killed within 60 days of each other. I worked the Bobby Kennedy campaign. And that's why it is so raw right now. But Bobby Kennedy said this, to never give in to the futility that whatever you do, you can't make a difference. That's garbage. You can't. And he said this, it is from numberless acts of courage and belief that human history is shaped. Each time a man or a woman stands up for an ideal, or acts to improve the lot of others, or strikes out against an injustice, they send forth a tiny ripple of hope, and crossing each other from a million different centers of energy and daring, those ripples build a current that can sweep down the strongest walls of oppression and resistance. Woo! When you stand up for something, it affirms that belief with somebody else, and it gives them the courage to stand with you. Amen. So let's do it, right? So, let those ripples start here today. And let those currents build here tonight. And let us commit here tonight that this is not a moment, this is a movement. This is not a moment, this is a movement. And so as we walk peacefully in our beloved community toward our courthouse, where there should be justice for the people, let us, when we get there, take a knee for justice.
Amen.
Let us take a knee for George Floyd. Let us say a prayer for the country we love.
Amen.
And we're going to walk there peacefully and lovingly. When we get there, we're going to kneel for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. I love you all. Love each other.